and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas, back on the channel today with another opposition view, heading into a fairly tricky run of fixtures, and it doesn't get much trickier than the start against Manchester City. So Lewis has joined us today from City Extra, fantastic Manchester City fan channel. He's going to tell us a bit about their season so far, what he's made of our season, and maybe a couple of predictions for the game. So Lewis, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, no problem, mate. I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the game at the weekend.
Well, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I'm not sure I have too much. But before we get to the doom and gloom of Everton's season so far, we'll start with yourselves. Obviously, find yourselves in second, just playing Chelsea on 3 points. It's not quite the perfection of 3-4 seasons ago, but you made a fairly decent start. You made a good start of the season.
Yeah, you know what, mate? It's been a bit of a weird season for us so far because we kind of come into the season a little bit in a bit disappointed because obviously we lost Sergio Aguero and, as you would probably expect, you'd think the club would try and replace him. And to be fair, they did try and replace him. You know what I mean? They tried to get Kane. They tried to do everything they could do to get Kane. It didn't come off. And I think myself, and I think a lot of other City fans, were just a little bit disappointed that we're going into this season again without a striker. And we was all sort of like on the downer a little bit, man. It wasn't great, but we got off to a semi-decent start. Obviously, we did get beat against Spurs right at the beginning, but then we sort of picked up the pace, had some decent results along the way. And a couple of results went our way at the back end of the international break just gone. And we find ourselves in second position. So we're coming into this game quite strong.
Yeah, no, a fairly decent start for yourselves. In comparison, Everton season, we haven't started tremendously at all. Picked up 4 wins and 11 this year. Got a manager not many people like. What have you made of Everton's season so far?
Disappointed, mate, to be honest. Like, I know he wasn't. What should I say? It wasn't an appointment that Everton fans wanted, obviously, given his connections with Liverpool and that. But I personally thought that put that to one side. I do think Rafa Benitez is a good manager, and I think Everton fans know that he's a good manager. It's difficult to accept him and that. But I've got to say, it's not performed, has he? Because I know you've had your fair share of injuries and that. But for me, Everton sitting in 11th there with the manager that they've got, the players that they've got on the pitch, you should be minimum top 8 in my view, and that's what I am expecting. So I've got to say, I am disappointed, and I'm looking at the stats now. No winning 5 in the Premier League for Everton with 3 losses in there. It's not great, mate, to be honest. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed to see Everton in 11th spot. I thought they would have done much better than that. Yeah,
well, I think we had a disappointing summer, probably much like yourselves, but I think it's a disappointing summer in very, very different ways. But I was actually going to come on to the question about the striker. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about it in the summer. It went on for a very long time, but you haven't suffered too much. I know Ferran Torres started there at the start of the season. I'm not really sure how it's developed since then. But do you think, without signing Harry Kane, which obviously it seemed like he did try everything to do so, is this a title win season if you don't have that focal player? Obviously, it hasn't gone terribly so far, and Torres did do well. I remember when he played there at the start of the season with Jesus going out wider. But do you think, without that kind of number 9, is this a potential title win season, or do you think maybe you might fall short?
No, I still think we can win the league, and I still think that we will win the league. But what the striker would have done is, I think it would have just made us absolute clear favourites. I think we would have been top of the league by now. And, it's hard not to sound arrogant in it, but when you've got Pep Guardiola as your manager and players like Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Rodri, Diaz, these type of players, if you stick someone like Harry Kane in there or an Erling Haaland, it's quite hard not to sound arrogant because, anyone in the world would expect that team to then win the Premier League. So I still think we can win the league this year. I'm still confident we can win it, but the lack of a striker just almost makes it like, if we would have had a striker, I just don't see how we wouldn't have won the league if we didn't have a striker. But hey, life goes on. We've not got a striker. And, we've got to deal with, it's not the best squad in the world, is it? You know what I mean? So we've still got to go with it and see where we can finish. But yeah, I'm still confident we can win the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, to be honest. I think Chelsea, she started very well. Yourself started very well. We won't talk about the other lot. But, I still see City as probably the title favourites this season. And, well, going into the season, I think maybe people expect a bit more from Kevin De Bruyne. He hasn't had a fantastic start, maybe, but kind of that leads me on to my next question. In terms of your best and worst performer so far, it's hard to pick from a squad like yourselves, making a start like you have, but we'll start with the best. Who have you been most impressed with?
That's a difficult one. I think Phil Foden's really come into his own this year. And I think something that I've noticed from Phil Foden this season is he's now telling other City players where to go and what to do. Since he's been in the squad, since he broke through the academy, he's always sort of like, he's always performed well, but it's looked like he's a kid and he's sort of like, he's a player that's been put into the team and he's a bit scared or whatever, however you word it. Whereas now this season, I've seen him telling Kevin De Bruyne where to run and shouting at like Gabriel Jesus because he's not made the right run or he's not made the right pass. It really feels like to me now that Phil Foden feels comfortable in this team, and I think that he's going to go on this year and put in a wonderful performance this year. He's already started pretty well, but yeah, he's looked really well. In terms of who's not looked so great, it's kind of difficult to say. Because no one's really done that bad, I don't think. So it's kind of hard to give you a name on that one.
Yeah, well, on the other side, I'm not sure how much of our football you've watched this season. I wouldn't advise watching too much if you don't have to. But maybe who do you kind of see as our standout performer who potentially might cause you some problems coming up at the weekend?
Well, you are right. I've not seen much of Everton. But I do like some of the players you've got in there. Now I know you've got your injuries, but the likes of Alan, DCL, he might be injured, I don't know. Richarlison, I've been a long time fan of Richarlison. I know maybe you've not got the best out of him or he doesn't perform consistently, but I think when he's on form and he's got his head screwed on, I think he's a proper danger. Yeah, but Alan, is he fit? I'm not sure. I've not seen it. Is he fit?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I think he's a quality player, mate. And the price that you guys paid for him, I was just gobsmacked when I saw the price. It was like 25 million or something like that. I thought it was a joke price, a half price sale or something.
Yeah, no, he's probably been, one of our standout performers this season, and one has been fairly unfortunate. But coming off the coming off the international break, have you picked up any injuries? Is it going to be a slightly weakened squad in any way, or you're looking fairly healthy going into Sunday?
It appears fairly strong. Yeah, I think Jack Grealish maybe had a knock, and Raheem Sterling dropped out the England team due to a personal issue. But other than that, nothing really majorly reported. The press conference will be on Friday PM time sometime, so we'll know more when that's out. But at this moment in time, and what we've seen on the socials, nothing serious. Just the only one really is the Jack Grealish and Sterling.
Yeah, and considering you will have PSG, I think it's on Wednesday next week. We do play on Sunday. Will there be any kind of rotation that you can see come purely because at the end of the day, we're not the most important match of your season, and you do want to progress in the Champions League?
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that, but Everton is a big game because we're not leading the pack. You know what I mean? And we can't afford to be dropping points now. And so no, I don't think so. I think we'll go pretty strong. PSG is an important game in terms of trying to top the group, but in terms of actually qualifying for the Champions League knockout rounds, it's fairly insignificant. It pretty much is just for who's going to top the group there. So no, I think we're going to come at you at full pace.
Yeah, okay. And considering that, I know Pep's a fairly difficult man to predict at the best of times, but is there any way you can kind of come up with a likely lineup that you might expect going into it?
It's quite funny that because when we do our preview videos, we always give starting lineups and then just add a disclosure that it absolutely means nothing because we don't know. But I will try. So Edison has a game actually. I think he played last night at midnight, so he will come back and he'll play. Kyle Walker and Cancelo have been brilliant. They'll play. Diaz and I'd expect Stones to start because Laporte was a little bit off, so he should play. Rodri's been phenomenal all season. He'll probably start. De Bruyne, it depends on his fitness. His fitness has been up and down, and he did play some minutes for Belgium, which I'm not sure why he played, but he did play. Providing he's injury-free, he will feature. Bernardo Silva is going to have to play, providing he's fit. That was one person actually who has to come off. He has to come off for Portugal. I'm not sure if he's picked up a knock, so that'll be interesting to see. But if he's fit, he'll play. Striker position, I don't know. It's really kind of difficult. But as a front three, I'd be looking to see Foden in there. You're probably going to see Jesus and maybe Mahrez. I'm not 100% sure on Jack Grealish or whether he's going to be fit. So something like that. That's the best I'm going to give you, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I understand that. Guardiola, we know the best of times is very difficult to predict. And, I think we can see that continuing. in terms of predictions for the match, I think you can probably tell by my general mood. I'm not particularly hopeful. We're not coming in good form. Yourselves, as you mentioned, you are picking up a good bit of momentum going into the international break, coming out of it, entering a very important part of the season in terms with the title race. So predictions for the match, what are you thinking?
Well, I've got to back a City win. We're at home. You've not won in 5. I feel good. You know what I mean? I feel confident in my team at the moment. Injuries are not too bad. So, I won't rub it in. I'll go for a 2-0 win and, take the points and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, to be honest. I'm normally quite confident going into matches based on absolutely no evidence whatsoever, but considering our form, it's like Norwich is the only win we've picked up in the last 8. I can't see it turn around massively. We thought Benitez would be a particularly strong defensive manager. That hasn't been the case at all. I think we've kept something like 4 clean sheets this season. So nothing like we expected. And going to the Etihad, facing, your squad, I can't see anything particularly going well for us. But is there any way maybe you can see us punching? I know you're not a team with many weaknesses, but are there any kind of loopholes that we can maybe get through here? We do we sit defensively and do play counter-attacking, despite the fact we do concede quite a few goals. But either way, that's generally the model that we end up playing with.
You've got to try and score first. That's the key to beating City these days. If you score first and then just sit on the edge of your box, look, it might be boring as a fan to watch, just watching your team sit on the edge of the box, but it's one of the only ways that you can beat us, as Palace did it. You've got to sit on the edge of the box, try and hit us on the break, get that first goal, and then just see if you can hang in there for the rest of the time. If you go toe to toe with us, which some teams do, and it's nice to see, you're probably you'll take a beating. You know what I mean? So defensively, you've got to be really strong. Your midfielders are going to have to put a hell of a lot of work in, and then your strikers have got to be clever, making good runs, dropping in when necessary, and most importantly, taking the chances that you get. And once you do that, then just try and see it out. That's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going toe to toe with yourselves is probably right at the back of Benitez's mind going into this one. I can't see us changing the way we play, and I'm not particularly hopeful, but we won't dwell on that for too long. My final 2 questions, we ask these at the end of every video. First of all, you got any score predictions?
My score predictions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go for, as like I say, I don't think we'll batter you, but I think we will win, and I'm going to go for a 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. And just something that's completely unrelated to football, because it's not always ideal to sit and talk about Everton for too long. What's your go-to meal deal? If you had any choice in the world, you go anywhere you like, what's your go-to?
My go-to meal deal. I go Tesco's first of all, because it's only £3, and everywhere else has put the prices up to like £3.50 or £4, and they're not about that. So straight into Tesco's. I get the chicken bacon meal. I'll get a packet of crisp. You know what I mean, like I don't know, McCoy's steak crisp or something like that. Yeah. And then a drink. I normally go for, like a smoothie, because they're about £3 on their own. So I do feel like I'm scamming them a bit. You know what I mean? So I'm spending £3, but getting in about £6 worth of, food and that. So yeah. Tesco's is the way though, mate. £3. Inflation doesn't arise in Tesco's. It's just stayed the same since the 1990s. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree. That's an answer with a lot of confidence. Last time I spoke to a Spurs fan, he said he didn't even get meal deals. So then I was a bit stuck at the end of the video, but no, very confident answer there. Confident going into the game as well. That does bring us to the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Lewis, thanks for joining me. If our viewers want to find any more of you, where can they find you?
If you do want to find any more of us, we're on City Extra on all the socials.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let us know your score predictions down below. Hopefully you are slightly more confident than me. Let's see how it goes. Look, we're going into a very tricky run of fixtures. Probably not going to end up ideal. We haven't had a great start of the season, but let's see where we are come a few weeks' time. So thank you all very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee.